Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're going beyond those flashy headlines you see, and today we're really diving deep into the world of adult entertainment.
That's right. We're going to unlock some surprising secrets. This industry, it's bigger than you think, and it's impacted tech and culture in ways you wouldn't believe.
You sent us a bunch of articles and data, and honestly, it looks like we're about to shatter some illusions today.
Oh, definitely. Get ready for some mind-blowing facts. We're going to unpack those common misconceptions, the stereotypes. Who's watching? What are they watching? And what does it all mean? It's fascinating.
First up, let's just tackle those misconceptions head on.
All right, let's do it.
Many people think, you see it in the movies, that those adult film scenes are like reflecting real-life intimacy.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
What's your take on that?
Well, it's kind of like assuming that Hollywood action movies are a reflection of real-life combat. I mean, come on. It's entertainment, right? Adult films are crafted to thrill and excite, not to be a guide to your personal life.
Right, it's fantasy, not a how-to manual.
Exactly. Remember that. Fantasy.
Makes sense. And speaking of misconceptions, there's that old stereotype, right?
Mm-hmm.
That porn is primarily for men.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still the case today?
Not even close. I mean, honestly, we're seeing a massive surge in female viewership. It's kind of like a tidal wave, really, and it's signaling this huge cultural shift. Women are feeling more empowered. They want to explore their desires and seek out content that truly speaks to them.
So it's less about, just the male gaze and more about women owning their sexuality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a really fascinating evolution that we're seeing.
It is, but beyond just, the personal level, how's this industry kind of influencing society at large?
Well, think of it this way. The adult industry. It's been a pioneer. It's been driving technological and societal advancements quietly behind the scenes for decades.
Uh-huh.
Early streaming services, virtual reality, even secure online payment systems, all of that, they all have roots in the adult entertainment world.
Wow. I never really put that all together, that it was such a trailblazer.
Yeah, it's like this hidden hand shaping the digital world. But to really get it, to grasp its influence, we need to talk about the sheer scale of this industry. I mean, it's huge, much bigger than people think.
You think bigger than Hollywood.
Way bigger. The global adult industry generates over $97 billion a year. That's more than Netflix, Hollywood, and the music industry combined.
Whoa. Hold on.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah,
That's more than the entire global coffee industry.
it is.
So people are choosing adult entertainment over their daily caffeine fix.
Apparently. It's a testament to how appealing it is and its ability to adapt. We actually see revenue spike during tough times like economic downturns or global events. It seems people turn to this content for a little escape, a bit of comfort, even when things are rough.
That's interesting. It makes you think about, that underlying need for connection, for pleasure, even when things are uncertain.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all that money flowing, it's got to be more than just some, tiny corner of the internet.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Porn sites, they are traffic magnets. They consistently rank among the most visited websites globally. We're talking sites like Pornhub attracting more traffic than giants like Netflix, Amazon, even Twitter. Billions of visits every year.
Billions. So
Yeah.
we're not just talking about a few quick clicks. People are really spending some serious time on these platforms.
Yeah. It's a whole ecosystem. They're not just watching, they're interacting, they're part of these communities, spending hours and hours. It's really become a form of social entertainment.
It's funny. We often think of, adult content as this solitary experience.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's actually evolving into something more social and interactive.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the people behind the scenes. There's a whole world of professionals working in this industry. I mean, for every performer on screen, there's a whole army of directors, producers, editors, web developers, marketing teams.
So it really provides livelihoods to millions of people worldwide across all sorts of professions.
Yeah, it's not just about the on-screen talent. It's a reflection of the broader economy. There are tech jobs, marketing, creative fields, you name it. It's a surprisingly diverse and dynamic job market.
Okay, so we've established this industry is massive, it's technologically advanced, it employs millions. But there's this surprising fact we touched on earlier, and I want to dig into it a bit more. The growing number of women in the audience.
Yeah, and it's not just a few more women tuning in. It's like a complete shift in the audience.
Really?
Yeah, and it's not passive viewership either. Women are demanding content that speaks to them, their desires, their fantasies, their experiences.
Cool. They're really looking for something that resonates on a deeper level, something more authentic, something they can relate to.
Absolutely. And this demand, this need for better representation, it's pushing the entire industry to evolve. Content's becoming more nuanced, it's more emotionally driven, it's moving away from those old, tired stereotypes.
I'm curious about what kinds of changes we're seeing in the content itself as the industry adapts to this growing female audience.
Well, we're seeing a rise in female-friendly themes. Things like mutual enjoyment, authentic connections, narratives that go beyond the typical. There's more emphasis on diverse bodies, genuine intimacy, relationships that feel real.
It sounds like a win-win, honestly.
Yeah.
Higher quality productions, more diversity, stories that resonate on a deeper level.
It is.
But I have to admit, one thing I still find really surprising is this industry's role as a tech pioneer.
It is fascinating, isn't it? They've consistently embraced these new technologies, and they're pushing those boundaries long before they go mainstream. Remember the VHS versus Betamax battle?
Vaguely, yeah. Wasn't that just like a format war? How did adult entertainment factor into that?
Well, the industry, they heavily favored VHS in that choice. It had a huge impact on which format became dominant. It's a classic example of how this industry's preferences, they can have a ripple effect on the entire tech landscape.
So they were trendsetters. Who knew?
Right. And it didn't stop there. Think about streaming services. Porn sites were dealing with, streaming high-quality video long before Netflix or YouTube even existed. They were the pioneers, laying the groundwork for the streaming revolution we see today.
Wow. So next time I'm binge watching, I guess I have the adult entertainment industry to thank.
You do?
But what about more recent technologies like virtual reality, for example?
VR is another great example. They jumped on that early, pushing for more immersive experiences, driving the demand for better headsets and more realistic content. The industry's desire, this need for cutting-edge tech, it pushed the whole field forward.
It's amazing how they've managed to stay ahead of the curve. And it makes me wonder, what about online payments? Did they have a role in shaping that as well?
They did. They really did. It's a story that a lot of people don't know. I mean, think about it. Back in the early days of the internet, buying something online, it was pretty sketchy, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have trusted it.
No, most people didn't. But the adult industry, they needed a way for people to pay for content discreetly and securely.
Makes sense. They were kind of ahead of their time on that.
Big time. So they were early adopters of encryption. They pushed for secure payment gateways. They were really instrumental in developing those systems that, now everyone uses without even thinking about it. Every time you buy something online, you're benefiting from the adult industry's innovation.
Wow, that's wild. It's like this whole hidden legacy.
It is. It really is. But, let's shift gears a bit. We've been talking about the industry on this grand scale, but let's get a little more personal. What about the experience of actually finding and enjoying adult content? I mean, with all the advancements we've talked about, it can still feel a little overwhelming, right?
Yeah, definitely. Where do you even begin?
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like you walk into this massive library and it's filled with books on every topic imaginable, and it can be a little intimidating.
It can be.
The first step is honestly just acknowledging that there's no shame in exploring your sexuality. It's a natural part of being human. And the more open we are about it, the less stigma we create.
That's a great point. It's about breaking down those barriers, those societal hang-ups, and just embracing our desires.
Exactly. Once you've kind of gotten over that hurdle, the next step is figuring out what you actually enjoy. What kind of scenarios, themes, dynamics, pique your interest. Think of it like exploring any other form of entertainment. You have your preferences, your genres, your favorite creators.
So it's like discovering this whole new world of entertainment, but tailored to your own tastes. But how do you figure out those preferences, especially if it's not something you're comfortable discussing openly?
Right, and that's where resources like the Porn Dude can really be helpful. They offer reviews, ratings, curated lists, things like that can help you narrow down your options. You can find sites that align with your interests and, avoid wasting time on things that aren't really your cup of tea.
So instead of just clicking through random links and hoping for the best, you can actually get a better sense of what each site offers. It's like having a guide to help you navigate.
Exactly. It's about maximizing your enjoyment and ensuring you're finding content that's fulfilling and authentic to you.
And that makes a lot of sense. It's about finding those experiences that really resonate, not just settling for whatever pops up first.
Right, exactly. And remember, exploration's key. Don't be afraid to try new things, step outside of your comfort zone a bit, see what catches your eye. It's kind of like trying new foods. You might surprise yourself with what you end up liking.
I love that analogy. Be adventurous.
Be adventurous, exactly. But let's say you found something that looks interesting. How do you know if it's a trustworthy source? What are some red flags to look out for?
That's a really good point. I mean, there are some less than reputable corners of the internet, and it's important to protect yourself. What should our listeners be aware of?
Well, first and foremost, pay attention to the website itself. Does it look professional? Is it well maintained? Are there clear contact details? A privacy policy? Those kinds of things.
So if it looks kind of sketchy or amateurish, maybe it's best to steer clear.
Probably a good idea, yeah. Another red flag is excessive pop-ups, or, you click on something and it keeps redirecting you to other sites.
Yeah, I hate that.
That could be a sign that they're trying to trick you into clicking on something malicious.
Right. Okay, so be wary of dodgy websites and too many pop-ups. What about the content itself? Are there any warning signs to watch out for there?
Absolutely. If the content seems exploitative, non-consensual, or if it features performers who look like they could be underage, it's crucial to report it and avoid engaging with it.
I mean, that goes without saying. It's not just about protecting yourself. It's about advocating for ethical practices and protecting the people involved in creating the content.
Exactly. We all have a responsibility to be mindful of where our content comes from and to support ethical creators.
Okay, so we've covered finding trusted resources, recognizing red flags, being responsible consumers. But let's get back to the fun stuff. Exploring this incredibly diverse world of adult entertainment. We touched on niche markets earlier, but I'd love to dive a little deeper. Just how diverse are we talking here?
Oh, it's mind-blowing. It's like asking how many different types of music exist. There are categories and subcategories for just about every imaginable interest, kink, or fetish. If you can think of it, it probably exists somewhere online.
Wow, it really is a world without limits. And what's fascinating is that within those niche markets, there's often a sense of community, a sense of acceptance.
Absolutely. That's one of the beautiful things about this online world. It allows people to connect with others who share their interests, no matter how unique or specific they might be. These communities can be incredibly welcoming and supportive.
It's like finding your tribe, but for your kinks and fantasies. It's creating these spaces where people can feel seen and accepted for who they are without judgment.
Exactly. And these communities, they often go beyond just sharing content. They foster connections, they provide support, they create a sense of belonging.
It's so powerful. It speaks to that human need for connection and acceptance, no matter what your interests might be. But with all this talk about niche markets and communities, it's clear that technology is still evolving, right? How is that shaping the future of adult entertainment?
Well, technology is opening up these amazing possibilities for more immersive, interactive experiences. We talked about VR and AR earlier, but that's just the beginning. We're on the verge of some really groundbreaking advancements.
Okay, you've got to give us a sneak peek. What else is on the horizon? What can our listeners expect to see in the coming years?
One area that's generating a lot of buzz right now is AI-generated content.
Huh.
Imagine being able to create custom scenarios and characters tailored to your exact preferences.
So you're saying we could essentially become our own porn directors, but with the help of AI?
Exactly. You could control the storyline, the setting, the physical attributes of the performers. I mean, the possibilities are endless. It's like stepping into your own fantasy world, but it's all powered by artificial intelligence.
It's fascinating and a little mind-boggling to think about how technology is blurring those lines between reality and fantasy. What other technological advancements are shaping the future of the industry?
One area that's often overlooked is haptics. That's the technology of touch. Imagine being able to actually feel the touch of a performer through your VR headset or a specialized device.
Whoa, hold on. That takes immersion to a whole new level. Is that even possible? It sounds like something out of science fiction.
It might sound futuristic, but haptic technology is advancing rapidly. It's already being used in gaming and other industries, and it's only a matter of time before it becomes mainstream in adult entertainment.
That's wild. It's like bridging the gap between the virtual and the physical, creating experiences that are even more realistic and engaging.
Exactly. It's a glimpse into a future where technology is constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible, blurring the lines between fantasy and reality in ways we can only begin to imagine.
Okay, so technology is clearly a driving force, but what about the content itself? What kind of trends are you seeing in terms of themes, genres, narratives?
One trend that's gaining a lot of momentum is the focus on ethical and feminist porn. It's about creating content that's empowering, respectful, and reflects a more nuanced understanding of sexuality.
So it's about moving away from just the male gaze and portraying women as active participants in their own pleasure.
Exactly. There's this growing demand for content that challenges those traditional power dynamics and presents a more egalitarian, more empowering view of sexuality. And this shift is also driving a greater emphasis on diversity and representation.
So more content featuring people of color, LGBTQ individuals, diverse body types.
Precisely. The industry is becoming more inclusive, more reflective of the real world. It's a really positive development.
It's like the industry is finally acknowledging that sexuality is not one size fits all. It's a spectrum, and there's beauty in that diversity.
Absolutely. It's about celebrating those differences and creating content that resonates with a wider range of experiences and desires.
Okay, so we've got ethical porn, feminist porn, diversity and representation. It sounds like the future of adult content is heading in a pretty positive direction.
I'd say so. It's becoming more inclusive, more ethical, more focused on creating content that connects with viewers on a deeper level. It's a really exciting time to be following the industry and seeing these changes happen.
And for our listeners who want to keep up with these changes, explore this evolving landscape, where's a good place to start?
Well, theporndude.com is a great resource for staying informed and discovering the best adult entertainment sites for your specific interests. They provide reviews, recommendations, insights into the latest trends, all of that, to make it easier to navigate this huge world of adult content.
It's like having a personal guide to this ever-evolving landscape of adult entertainment, helping you find those experiences that are most likely to resonate with you.
Exactly. And remember, exploration is key. Don't be afraid to try new things. Step outside of your comfort zone. See what sparks your interest. This industry, it's constantly evolving, and there's always something new to discover.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive. We talked about finding the right content, online safety, the incredible diversity of these niche markets, and the exciting technological advancements that are shaping the future of this industry.
And there's so much more to uncover. But it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
It has been quite the journey, exploring the world of adult entertainment. So many surprising discoveries.
It really has. I mean, we've uncovered so much. Its hidden history as a tech innovator, its massive economic impact, that evolving audience. It's crazy. This industry is way more complex and influential than most people realize.
Absolutely. And like we've been talking about, it's constantly changing, embracing these new technologies and reflecting those shifting cultural attitudes. It's almost like we're seeing this cultural revolution, in how we even talk about and perceive sexuality.
I think you're right. These conversations about sexuality, they are becoming more open, and the industry is responding. It's becoming more inclusive and more ethical.
We did touch on ethical production a bit in the last part, but I'd love to dig a little deeper. What does ethical porn really look like in practice? What sets it apart?
Well, it all starts with putting the well-being of everyone involved first. That means making sure performers are paid fairly, they have access to healthcare, support services, and that the work environment is free from any kind of exploitation or abuse.
So it's really about treating those performers with respect, with dignity, recognizing their professionalism, and ensuring their safety.
Exactly. And ethical production also goes beyond just that. It extends to the content itself. It's about portraying sexuality in a way that's empowering, respectful, and moving away from those harmful stereotypes or tropes that we've seen in the past.
It's got to be sex positive, but also responsible, mindful of the impact it has on viewers and the performers themselves.
You got it. It's about celebrating the diversity of human sexuality, but doing it in a healthy way that doesn't perpetuate those harmful narratives.
And this whole shift towards ethical production, it's being driven by both the people watching and the people making the content, right? It's not just coming from the top down. It's a collaborative effort.
Definitely. Consumers are getting more aware. They're realizing how important those ethical practices are, and they're looking for content that matches their values. And creators are listening. They're stepping up, embracing those principles, and producing content they can be proud of.
So it's this great cycle where ethical considerations are influencing both the demand and the supply of adult content.
That's a great way to put it.
But for those listeners who want to actively support ethical porn, where do they even start? How do they make informed choices?
Well, do your research. Look for sites that are transparent about their production practices, that have a clear commitment to ethical principles, things like a code of conduct, info about performer safety and well-being, clear compensation policies, stuff like that.
transparency is key. But what about supporting the performers themselves directly? Is that even possible?
Absolutely. A lot of performers have their own websites, their own platforms where they offer exclusive content directly to their fans. It gives them more control, more ownership over their work and their income.
So it's about cutting out the middleman and making sure that your support goes right to the source, to the people creating the content.
Exactly. And it's a really powerful way to make sure that your money is going toward content that aligns with your values.
Okay, so we've talked about ethics, technology, cultural shifts. It's clear this industry is always changing. But looking ahead, what trends do you see emerging in the future?
Well, technology is going to keep playing a huge role. We've talked about VR, AR, AI, but honestly, that's just the beginning. There's even more mind-blowing stuff on the horizon.
Oh, come on. You've got to give us a little hint. What's got you excited?
One area I'm really fascinated by is the development of brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. It's technology that basically allows us to control devices with our minds.
Oh, wait, seriously. That sounds like something straight out of a movie. But how could that be used in adult entertainment?
Just imagine being able to create and control entire scenarios using just your thoughts. You could shape the narrative, the setting, the characters, the possibilities are limitless.
That's incredible. It's like taking virtual reality to a whole other level, an experience that's even more immersive and personalized. But is that even close to being a reality?
Well, it's still early days, but BCI technology is developing fast. There are definitely ethical questions to consider, but the potential for this technology in adult entertainment, it's undeniable.
It sounds like the future of adult entertainment is going to be even more wild than we can imagine right now. But it's clear that as technology keeps advancing and cultural attitudes evolve, this industry is going to keep adapting and surprising us.
Absolutely. It's such a dynamic, ever-changing landscape. The important thing is to approach it with an open mind, stay informed, and make conscious choices about the content we consume.
Well said. It's been amazing exploring the world of adult entertainment with you today. We've learned so much from its surprising history and its impact on the economy to the incredible technological advancements and that growing focus on ethics and responsibility.
The pleasure's all mine.
As we wrap up this deep dive, is there any final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
I'd encourage everyone to approach this industry with a critical eye, a willingness to learn. It's a complex world, and it's constantly changing. By staying informed, having these open discussions, and making conscious choices, we can all contribute to a more positive and ethical future for adult entertainment.
That's a great point. Thanks for joining us on this journey. And for our listeners, don't forget to check out theporndude.com for all the latest news, reviews, and insights into this ever-evolving world. Until next time, stay curious.